desperation. I mean, the environmental desperation by oil companies like Shell, Chevron, and the likes. We've raised our voices against environmental issues like in the north in case of lead poisoning. And we raised our voices against deforestation in the southwest, occasioned by the influx of the Chinese log merchants. But besides that, we also look at the totality of the environment itself, which is actually to support the human person. So we look at issues like trade and development. We look at the practices of corporations. And of course, we look at our resources that has been bestowed on us as a trust, because the environment is a trust. And for that, campaigns like the water comes in, campaigns about protection of our food from infiltration of biotech companies comes under that. We also do look at the environment and health. And sometimes you see us talking about tobacco control and about protection of the health of the
All,
human person.
all right, fantastic. Your organization has been very critical about the just recently signed into law Lagos State Environmental Law. What is the concern of your organization and other human rights groups that has raised this concern about this law? Bearing in mind that the government said the law is necessary, the law is needed to protect the environment, water resources, and unwholesome consumption of water in the state. What is the concern of organizations such as yours?
I think the first thing we need to even ask ourselves is why is it that the environment groups are kicking against the supposed environmental law? The first issue is that that bill is not an environment bill. That bill is about 259 pages. It's not talking about marine pollution. It's not talking about vehicular emission. It's not talking about industrial pollution. It's not talking about those environment issues that you and I knows about Lagos. The only environment issue in that bill is sanitation. You know how to clean garbage on the streets, and even at that, the only provision or the main provision is about how to remove that clearing of garbage from local industries, SMEs that are resident in local communities, and putting that as an economic activity in the hands of multinationals that are coming to take over. Look, let's get this very clearly that there is a dangerous trend happening in Lagos, a supposedly progressive state, a state where the pro-democracy activism started and had roots in Nigeria, where you now have a tendency and a trend towards massive concentration of wealth and power on a few individuals. Mark my word, and I repeat again, that there is massive concentration of wealth and power on a few. And the water sector has now been seen as one huge business. You know, can you just imagine connecting 20 million households in Lagos that doesn't have water, and then you are charging them, let's say 20,000? That is bigger than oil. Water is the biggest oil in Lagos. They don't care about you and I. They don't care about the citizens. This is pure business and how to make money from the people. And we have challenged that. And we have told them that, look, Lagos do have money to make provision for water for its citizens. They will give you statistics. Oh, we are doing only 200 liters a day. We need 200. There is acute shortage of water. Oh, we need 5 billion investment. What has happened to the money that has been invested over the past 16 years? Who has been called to question? There are baseline infrastructure, over 25 water works in Lagos. What is their current status? What does the government need to do to make them to work and get water into our homes? No one is asking them to provide 5 billion in a day. We all know that Lagos State is rich, is richer than 10 African countries. I mean, that's not an excuse, but they can gradually make that provision. But no, they want you and I to believe that the government of providing water is no longer is no longer a government business. And basically, there is nothing that government can provide for us. And we say, wait a minute, you've got to look at the root of the problem. You've got to look at how we got here. And you have to look at alternatives embedded in the fact that water is human right. I can decide to switch off my phone. I can decide to switch off internet. I can even decide not to have electricity for Christ's sake. We cannot live without water. And they know it. So the issue is about how to profiteer from, from even their inefficiency, from the corruption, from the fact that Lagos state government is already indebted to the World Bank. So they have been coming up with all manners of ideas in about to set privatization. So this bill, three critical issues I'm going to share with you, my brother. Number one, in the supposed environmental bill, a section makes PSP or concession the first line of charge. What that means is before they pay anybody, they have to pay these private companies that they want to enter into concession. Before salaries, before education. And I guess all of us will remember the Andy Uba and the story. And I think Anambra in those days, it was about this irrevocable order where some big people sitting down somewhere doing nothing has to be paid first before the welfare of the people. And this is what we're talking to people that this is beyond water. Number two, quickly, sir, is the fact that they realize that it will be extremely difficult for them to make profit in a situation whereby 80% of the people now rely on informal sector. Informal sector are the wells, the boreholes, and the rest of them. So even if they have their so-called private water today, the citizens are not going to buy it easily. So what they need to do is to legislate for profit. They need to with one big stick somewhere so that people can will be forced to hook onto their water and pay. So they now went behind secretly with this legislation, and they put it there that look, it's now illegal for you and I to look for. In fact, if you read that law, it is actually illegal for me to come to your household and take water because it uses the word distribute. Distribution means moving something from one place to the other. It didn't discriminate between commercial and the domestic use of water. I will say, look, you can't continue to punish our people for your inefficiency, for your corruption, and this time around, we need to stand together as a people and protect the rights of our people.
Does the law actually prohibit individuals sinking boreholes in their different homes? Because I hear the government saying, look, this is not about criminalizing sinking borehole. It is for big corporations, people who are in either water business or who are in soft drink business, and not individuals in there. What is actually the provisions in this law that actually affect you and I, private people?
Look, we have seen the draft of this law. One of the things we have been begging them is to release the final version of the law. This is the first time that we have to go on the streets begging Lagos State to release a law signed by the. Have you seen the final law? Nobody. We've gone to the Ministry of Justice. We've been back to the House, back and forth. No one has openly declared that this is the final version of the law. But we saw the draft. In the draft, it is the informal sector was criminalized.
So the informal sector, are you saying the informal sector?
Informal sector is the wells, the boreholes, coming to your house to borrow money, to take water for free. Every water, the only water that is not captured. In fact, let me share a story. At the public hearing, we got to get to the public hearing. And I made it very clear to the legislators, to the parliamentarians that were sitting there, that because the rivers and streams were captured, some of you that actually use water for rituals and religious purposes, we went up in jail because you have to first go to Alausa to take license before you can even take water from the stream to perform religious rites. That is what is in the draft. And we said, look, how on earth can somebody even craft or draft such a thing just because you want to provide the environment for corporations?
So it is not, so by law, what you're saying that individuals cannot even go to the stream to fetch water, supposedly, without taking permission from Lagos State government?
That is what was in the
So you can't sink borehole in your house
now,
without...
This is it. They didn't say ban, but you have to take it along with a trend. They are saying you need to come and take permission, and that you have to come and register. Actually, they started this about 2 years. They've been flagging this idea of registration. And what they basically want to know is to have a record of, look, we've been on this. We went to World Bank. We've seen their documents. So once they have that record and they say come and register, they make it practically impossible for the poor to be able to operate their wells or to be able to get a license to dig new wells. They will tell you today and say it's a lie. We are not taxing them. But all they want to do is to get the data, get the record, and then move to the next stage. And we need to continue to sensitize our people that, look, we need to stand up. How can we be made to pay for the failure of our government?
Okay, all right, we'll come back to you. Let me turn to my guests in the studio. Just stay on the line. Don't go away yet. Mr. Akinbode. From the information being given to us by Akinbode here, it looks very depressing that despite the shortage of water in the state, in Nigeria generally, a state can come out with a regulation, a law, penalizing people for digging boreholes, for trying to make private means to supply water into their own homes. You live in London, you live in the UK. Do you want to just oppose your experience as to that kind of a law and a life abroad in the Western world, in the developed world?
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Akinbode, for a job well done. Before I came to UK, I was living in Nigeria. And when we were growing up, back in the early 70s, even up to the villages, there were provisions for pipe-borne water. You go to the, this error sort of thing.
And even though I'm coming. Even in recent time, government have made it a responsibility to pump borehole in some of these states.
You can imagine what has befallen Nigeria in the past, let me say, over 35 years. I mean, a child growing up from birth up to almost 57 years and not being able to even fend for ourselves is very disgraceful. The government owes a responsibility to protect the health of the people. That is quite understandable. But the point here is, for instance, as you are relating this to the laws or lives here in the UK, before any of such a law is made here, notices must have been given in the past 3 years, preparing people for instance, recently somebody popped into my house and was trying to sensitize me about what is going to change within London in the next 2-3 years. That is, a meter is now going to be installed, which is now going to calculate, the level or the measure of water that is being used in every homes. And the explanation he gave them was that right now, there is a flat rate being charged. Everybody, irrespective of the volume of water that you are using in your house. That is, in about 3 years' time, what is going to be applicable now is that when you use your water, you have to be very economical about it because every water you are using is being counted by the meter. This is UK for you. They prepare, they sensitize, they make sure that everybody is prepared for any eventuality.
But the water is prepared, the pipes drawn to your house by government and private initiatives.
Go to the most remote village here. There is provision of water. Every house is equipped. But imagine every law made in Nigeria, the commoners, the poor people are always the victims. Like Mr. Akinbode rightly said, eventually a business be created for a segment of the people, maybe political jobbers, who are now part of those that has been, nice to the ruling party. This is what really happens. You cannot create a carpet law that is going to ban people from living their normal life, a life they have been used to right from their birth. You can imagine an 80-year-old woman being asked that he has to now go and obtain a license before getting to the stream to obtain water. I understand. The government owes a duty to protect the life of the people. But at the same time, it's got to be done with methods, systematic, strategized sort of, calculation, whereby people are made to get prepared for this. Maybe certain areas in every community is provided with water provision. Pending the time you are all going to be dependent, pending the time you are going to actually register for what is being said, this is an area where you can obtain water. But no preparation is being made for this. It is like committing people into a natural suicide. Because as Mr. Akinbode earlier said, the first priority in this world is water. More than 80% of the body that we have is made of water. And for that reason, water is not a thing you can just play it with people. Otherwise, you are sentencing them into untimely death.
But how does it feel when, despite government failure, people have taken private initiative to sink and dig boreholes, and then they are not
Honestly, today, let me tell you, one of the reasons why I'm very proud of to be a Nigerian is this. We are so resilient as a people. We remain unkillable. Irrespective of the problems, we always find a solution. And you can imagine how Nigerians have been living for a very long time. We are our own keeper of our own life. It's like in Nigeria, no government exists. Because the only effect we have in government is when they are trying to price their activities, when they are trying to ask us to pay taxes. This is the only thing that connects us with the government. Every other thing is you and you and you. Make provision for your own home, make provision even in so many streets in Nigeria, in Lagos or in part of Nigeria. The street people are the ones that contribute money so that they can level the road, so that the road will be habitable, the road can be accessible by vehicles. This has always been the life that we are living. And we are talking about a country so blessed with so many natural and human resources. It's disgraceful that Nigeria, this is the way we are.
Okay, let me come to Akimbode in Lagos. So as it stands, what is the way forward? The government of Governor Akimbode has signed this bill into law, so it has become effective. And in fact, a task force, a court has been set up to deal with offenders. So effectively, this is a law, and provision has been made to deal with people who violate it. So what is the way forward? What is the way forward in this?
The interesting thing about this is that we expect Governor Akimbode to be more courageous in going about this law. They hurriedly called the lawmakers out of recess and they hurriedly passed the bill. But they've not been courageous enough to make the law public. So before they set up task force, why don't they make the law public? This is strange in Lagos. Anytime they pass a law in Lagos, in less than 12 hours, the law will be everywhere on your WhatsApp, everywhere. They say this is the new traffic law in Lagos. So know your rights and your duties. But for this one, we are hearing of task force, and yet no one can see the law. I think the first thing is that they should make the law public. Look, we are a country of laws and constitution, and that Lagos has a history of activism. Look, the power belongs to the people. We continue to mobilize the people. We've seen other things recently, about government signing laws, and yet they can't enforce the laws. On March 22, which is the World Water Day, we are holding a mega rally in Lagos with the hashtag Lagos Not for Sale. We are broadening our community engagements. We are broadening our CSO engagement. We are talking to religious leaders. We're talking to everybody. This is about our lives. And we will continue to do that. We will get people sensitized. We will be exploring the options of our law courts to ensure that this is done, and this is done very well. Let me give you two trends in Lagos State that might possibly situate where this state is heading. The PSP started under the former administration. That PSP collapsed. But when they signed these agreements, the state is made to pay, regardless of whatever they sign with them. And you are just indebted to the so-called PSP people that they told us originally are coming with money. Because what they will keep telling us is that they are coming with investment. So why will the government need an irrevocable charge order if truly they are coming with money? So why do you need our money to pay them before you even pay salaries? So when the thing went awry, they had to buy back the debts and they pay. The companies will always make profits. Even in the water sector, they enter an agreement with an energy company to provide electricity in Akute. Either they fire their plant or not, every month the state must pay them money. Those people will continue to pay. And it's not, the PSP arrangement has been declared fraudulent all around the world. As I'm talking to you, the city of Pittsburgh is owing. A lot of cities in Europe are going back to what is called remunicipalization, whereby the government are having more hands in water, because it's a citizen issue. France is considering it. I think there's also some cities in UK already now going back to say, look, what did we leave behind? But let's go back to Lagos. Lagos money was used to create what is called BRT corridor. If you've been to Lagos recently, you have this pathway that the long buses take. Lagos money was used to test run how it will work, where the passengers are, how to ticket. So they brought the red buses, right? As of today, the buses owned by Lagos State is less than 20%. The fancy buses that you've seen are privately owned. Now, these are ways at which they are moving our resources, as I said earlier, massively concentrating it into private hands. They have so much money, and with that money, they also dominate power. They dominate our sovereignty and dictate how we're going to live our life. This is not the kind of democracy we want, my brother. And we continue to mobilize our people to challenge it.
Are there moves by activists as yours to challenge the, because obviously this is a law and a law is a law. If you violate it, then you've done something. Are there things activists as yours, your organizations, NGOs are doing to challenge the variety of this law in a competent court of law?
Exactly. I have said that. I said we are a country of laws and constitution. There are a lot of infringements of this law against the 1999 constitution. Understand? I mean, the thing is that nobody has stood up against them seriously. So they thought that, we can always get things done. They are just NGOs. So we are going to be testing this against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay. The Constitution stipulated what is the role of the local government and what is the state of the state, the role of the state government. We're going to be the UN has even intervened like twice, sent letters to the Lagos state government. So we are testing that here. We are also going to be testing that, with UN resolutions and provisions as regards the water and sanitation. It's not over yet, if I must say.
All right, fantastic. Akimbade Oluwafemi, Executive Director of Environmental Rights Action Nigeria, thank you for taking your time to join us on the program today. But before I let you go, let me come to the studio. What do you have to say on the final note on this matter?
Well, I just want to remind the Lagos State government that the sovereignty of Nigerians is more than enough. I think they will have to reconsider this law and find a way to run around it, make provision for the people to have easy access to water before the law actually is made to come into effect. Otherwise, it's going to subject so many people into, as I said, untimely suicide.
All right, thank you. Quickly, before I let you go, Mr. Akimbade, for one last question. The members of Lagos State House of Assembly, they are supposed to be representatives of their different constituents, in their different constituencies. Are you exploring the chances of talking to the constituents of these legislators to react and make them understand that the constituents are not happy with the actions of the legislators?
You see, my brother, the reality about Lagos is that a lot of people know that what is happening is wrong. A lot of people know that the language of ban, we are banning the yellow buses, that is happening in Lagos is wrong. What is happening is that we need champions. So we are organizing for people to stand up. We've been talking to them, but a majority of them, because of their political careers and the rest of them, seems that there are forces that they cannot challenge. And I think we need to continue to talk to them to stand up and be counted. That's as simple as that.
All right, thank you so much. We can assure you that on our front here, we will continue to give you as much support as you want in whatever capacity we can do in the interest of the people of Lagos and Nigeria. It's a responsibility for all. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program today.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot. We go on a very short break now, and I bring in my other guests after we're going to be done. Thank you for joining us on the program. Thank you for taking your time to join us here today. We'll go on a short break, and we'll be back. Don't go away.
Commonwealth Day service is one of the most recognised events in the Commonwealth calendar, which prominently has in attendance Her Majesty the Queen, other members of the royal family and heads of the government from across the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth Africa Summit, which holds alongside the Commonwealth Day service, is fast becoming one of the most recognised events that promotes the interests of Africans in the Commonwealth. From a series of high-level meetings on topical issues, workshops and business networking events, the summit promotes intra-Commonwealth collaboration for sustainable development and inclusive growth in the new era of globalisation. We invite you to join us at the Commonwealth Africa Summit from the 13th to the 15th of March 2017 in the historic city of London. Visit www.casevents.org/CAS2017 for more information or to register.
Oni of Ife Global Outreach presents an evening with His Imperial Majesty Oni Adeyeye Enito Ogunwusi Ojaja II. His Imperial Majesty on an official royal dinner gala, cultural celebration, and Ojaja II heritage.
I will be coming to the United Kingdom to meet with various stakeholders in Yoruba land and to further promote Yoruba heritage.
Venue, Aurora Ballroom, Intercontinental Hotel, O2 London, Southeast 10. For tickets and booking, please call +44 744 816 4465 +44 75 7837 3799. And this is an official gala dinner for His Imperial Majesty. Kabiesi will be in the UK from the 12th to the 25th March 2017. Powered by Rotimi Oshobemekun and Egbe Omoife United Kingdom. Be there.
It's time to own your own properties at any of these cities: Abeokuta, Isheri, Opek, Abuja, Sam Nujoma and Orozo, Lagos, Lekki, Port Harcourt, TAF Gardens. Keyrite with major developers and state agencies can make your dream come true. Property and flats start from just £25,000. We can also provide you with property exchange. For more information, please visit www.keyrite.co.uk.
Tune in to Talk Time,
Mondays at 9 p.m.
the social, political and cultural show
that puts your issues first.
Don't miss out.
Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the newest home away from home in the Nigerian hospitality industry. 10 minutes only from the local and international airports. It's the perfect spot for your relaxation whenever you are in Lagos. 24-hour non-stop electricity, cozy and colorful rooms, Wi-Fi internet connection, and flat screen cable television. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. Our exquisite restaurant and full bar are simply second to none in taste and style. Bavidi Luxury Hotel. We are located at the posh, serene neighborhood in the Keja Business District. Your satisfaction is our first concern, so we train our staff to be professional and personable. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, number 20 Moshuda Biola Crescent, Ikeja, Lagos. Telephone +234 1291 7929 +234 708 287 7512. Bavidi Luxury Hotel, the new home away from home.
We have faith. The Nollywood will set new records for filmmaking all over the world. Not because of our past glories,
but because of the evolution of a generation of filmmakers who have been forged in the arena of professional film education with an understanding that film is an ideal catalyst for change.
Through a combination of quality, training, and mentorship, the vision of these trailblazers will shape 20 thought-provoking short films on social justice and the signature feature film such as the African film industry is yet to experience.
This is what HDFA seeks to achieve through the 2017 Script-to-Screen Africa Filmmaking TV Reality Project, and we welcome you to be a part of this trailblazing experience. Enroll as a student, be a sponsor, partner with us.
Script-to-Screen Africa 2017, film as a catalyst for revolution.
All right, thank you for joining us on the program today. And the program is still Newspunch, coming to you from Ben Television. Now with me is Lawson Imbogos. A government set up, funded training program for railway engineering. Funded is what we'll be looking at, opportunities in that sector. And Lawson Imbogos is spearheading this project at some point and offering these opportunities to people who have the rights in the UK. So, Sambugus, thank you for joining us on the program today. Tell us more about these funded training on railway engineering.
Right, thanks, Tunde. Well, the funded programs on railway engineering actually it's been going on for a long time. And the initiative has always been that people who require to come on to study the railway engineering can actually get funded by government to do railway engineering as a diploma at a level 2 or level 3, and then go ahead to get work within the railway infrastructures. But there's some urgency into what is going on now, because when it comes to recruiting for the railway, it's not one of the easiest place to do. Basically because we on all the railway infrastructures, we have a very strict alcohol and drug policy, and therefore anybody coming onto the railway must be made aware that they will have to go through an alcohol and drug test. So it becomes quite challenging, especially at this day and age. You know, as you know, in this country, over 90% of our population consume alcohol. So it is a matter of serious discipline. But nonetheless, if someone is interested in doing this course, then what they would need to do is to first be aware of their consumer habits, if they, especially drugs, because that's the biggest problem. And then be of course compliant in that they are able to work in the UK and to get training and to access training by government within the United Kingdom.
Okay, before we go a little bit further, tell us this training program. It's going to be funded by government, like you said. It has always been funded by government.
We've been going on. It's been going on for a very, very long time indeed. Funded through either ESF or recently through student loan. But now there is an initiative, because we can actually get funding which is not a student loan. It's direct money given to for the learners to go ahead and study at Diploma 2 or Diploma 3. And therefore, it is a good, it's a good time really to come on board if we have people out there who would like to, who would be interested.
So the training program, what will it involve? What does it involve?
Okay, mainly, basically it involves, we train mainly the permanent way. You know, when people see railways, what they see are just trains running up and down. There's a lot of things going on in the railway. The main sector that we'll train for is those people who will be repairing, renewing, and actually doing new builds on the railway. Those are the people that we look at, and those are the people we train.
Does it involve the tracks or the train itself?
Yes, now it actually is a track. It's mainly the track. Okay. We are looking at what the permanent way is actually what you see when you come to a station and you look at the tracks. You will be seeing two lines. That's the rails on which trains run. We call them the running lines. And then there will be blocks of either wood or concrete on which they're sitting, called the sleepers, and a lot of stonework called the ballast. Now, basically, what we are looking at is a continuous maintenance of that infrastructure, because the moment trains run, they of course destabilize a system, and that system has to be kept maintained at all times so that we do not get into problems of derailments and things like that. So the kind of stuff that we are looking at to come into NVQ level 2s and level 3s are people who will be doing permanent way repairs and maintenance. And really they form a major bulk of the staff who work within the railway infrastructure.
Do they have to have some kind of initial experience in the sector before they come on board?
They don't really. They don't really need any initial experience, as it were. Well, it's basically because it's like in all schooling, we will be looking at people who will have done their GCSE. Maths and English does help. But most importantly, English, because that's a media of communication. So out of that, we can have people, even with the lower level of education, so long as they are willing to learn and to absorb the kind of subject matter that is taught, that is involved. And it's all mainly a matter of interest of working within that infrastructure. But, and there is a very big but, we work in a very, very dangerous infrastructure. So no wonder you had me, the first thing I talked about is alcohol and drugs. Because once you are not safe, then you could get into very serious problems when you work on the railways.
Okay, so if I do have my viewers watching this program and they pick interest in participating in this program, what do you expect of them? What are the things on their part that they must have or they must do?
Now, on their part, one is the interest and the keenness to actually work within the railway infrastructure. That's first and very foremost, the interest. Then the next thing they need to do is to go onto the websites of various railway companies that are there in this country, and there are so many of them, and look into either the training, the level 2s, level 3 NVQ, or they look into apprenticeship within the railway and make applications to those companies. If they're more, we can give them contacts. If they would like to contact us, we can put them on the pathway, and then really that's basically what they will need to do. First, develop the interest, and then be able to work within the policies, which are rather strict on the alcohol and drugs. And I'm sorry, I've got to still go back to it, because that's the big problem. If you come into the infrastructure and you're tested, even before you work and before you even come into training, you're tested and you fail the test, then you get a 5-year ban.
To reapply.
To reapply.
Okay, so is it that there shouldn't be any trace of drug or alcohol in their blood while they go for the test, or that at all the person shouldn't have taken drug or alcohol at all in his or her entire lifetime?
No. The entire lifetime, no. What my advice to learners is the following: if you have been taking drugs, better keep away from them.
Drugs seems to be on a higher level.
Yes.
Alcohol seems to be on a more.
Let's look at alcohol. We have a very beautiful policy on the railway. It's 007, just like James Bond. You should have 0 alcohol when you come into work. You should have, or whilst at work. You should have 0 alcohol in your blood 8 hours before coming to work. And if you want to enjoy a drink, then 24 hours before coming to work, you may enjoy about 7 units of alcohol, no wonder 007. Why 7 units? You've got 24 hours. Your body will normally eject a unit an hour. So by the time you're come to work, you'll be completely dry and ready to work.
So basically, if you're going for that test, you give yourself like 3 days of alcohol.
Of alcohol. But drugs is a problem. Let me tell you the problem. Because some of the drugs, and indeed it's very unfortunate, some of the soft drugs the youth like to consume, like cannabis, will hang on into our systems for between 6 weeks to almost 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
So I have actually had
smoke.
Just smoking the cannabis.
Can linger in the blood for up to 6
weeks? Oh
yes,
up to 6 weeks and even more.
And then somebody takes that every single day.
And that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing about it. And even to make it worse is the whole idea that they may be addicted to the drug, which means they may actually stay off for the time to go through the test, believing they will not be tested again, but that is only the beginning. We have random tests going on at all times within the
Fantastic.
infrastructure.
So how long does this training program take?
Now, the NVQ program at level 2, we are looking at anything between 6 months to 9 months. Between 6 months to 9 months to qualify with a diploma in railway engineering.
And that will be fully paid for by the government?
That's fully funded by government. And that they can actually come and make.
NVQ3?
Then the NVQ3 is a higher qualification, of course. They would expect you to have had at least a level 2 before you go to a level 3. You actually will find that we will normally do a level 3 in exactly 6 months, because the people are already qualified, they already know what they're doing, and they are also at that time working within the infrastructure. So when it comes to the assessment of their work, it's much easier for them to qualify.
So at the end of the program, training program, are they bound to work within the UK railway system, or they can work wherever they choose?
Actually, the qualification you get is international.
No, it's not about the qualification.
Yes.
Now, because it's a government-funded project, you know, there's this idea of government-funded project that you are bound to for some time.
Oh, whether they are bound. Sorry, I didn't get that. Whether they are bound. No, what happens? What happens is
to pay to offset the cost of their training.
Not exactly. They are not paying back to indirectly,
by way of service.
By way of service. Yeah. Well, what happens is that you can actually work out of this country without qualification. But I can tell you one thing, that the most lucrative place to work with your qualification on the railway is actually our economy, is the United Kingdom. One, our hours are good, and two, our wages the wages they get are quite enticing, quite good, and therefore, you know, you find them. The health and safety procedure is unparalleled. If we are talking about the world, I can tell you that our health and safety procedures in the UK on the railway is unparalleled. It's very, very good. In which case, for safety's sake, for good earning power, they will probably just want to stay in. But the qualification that you get is an international qualification. You're looking at a qualification accredited by bodies like, you know, whether it's a City and Guild or such like international bodies. So with that knowledge, they can actually transfer the knowledge to any other railway infrastructure anywhere in the world, and they'll fit in and they'll be able to do their work.
So for the purpose of people contacting somebody for further information, do you have like a website or phone number people can reach?
Oh yes, you can reach us. Yeah, our website is just www.justlawsonuk.com.
www.justlawsonuk.com. I suppose that should be on our page there. People saying that. What about phone number?
Yeah, the phone number we can. I can give you a mobile number that they can call on. There's our office number is also on the website.
Yes.
But the number to call is 07 832 961 959.
959. The number again?
Is 07 832 961
959. Those numbers to call if you're interested in picking up a job in railway engineering and you want to work in the railway sector, the engineering sector in the United Kingdom, government funded training. Up to 6 months, NVQ2, NVQ3, opportunities you can really latch on and get on with life. What a wonderful opportunity. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program and sharing this with us. Lossie, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunde.
We'll be glad to have you back again to review how this is going and share these opportunities again with our people watching the program.
I'll be more than glad to come again.
Thanks a lot.
God bless you, sir.
All right, this is how we can go to the program and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.